Hello! This is Dr. Rat again through AI. The last video got high views compared to my other videos. I have decided to do another one. However, this is the lowest tier of content, but if you guys like this, I will continue. Top Secret. Disruption Class Infrared. Also no clue. Special Containment Procedures. On account of the nature of SCP-8907, as well as the individuals associated with the anomaly, it cannot be contained. Individuals who are known to be connected to an SCP-8907 instance are to be monitored for further anomalous activity. Due to SCP-8907's association with the greater macrocosm, the exact nature of SCP-8907 is unclear. Research efforts to further understand SCP-8907 manifestation are ongoing. Description: SCP-8907 is a process in which an individual between the ages of 3 and 16 years, henceforth SCP-8907-A, becomes mentally linked through unknown means to a recently formed floater reality located close to our own within the macrocosm, henceforth SCP-8907-B. SCP-8907-B instances appear to orbit our reality, although these paths are inconsistent and will occasionally bring certain instances closer to baseline reality. This connection is visible in mappings of both the macrocosm and local noosphere as a thin, brightly colored line. After a link occurs, SCP-8907-A is granted complete control over all aspects of SCP-8907-B, which they interface with through the guise of a highly detailed imaginary world. Many SCP-8907-B instances are formed during the SCP-8907-A instance's early childhood, although formation has been reported occurring in individuals of up to 27 years of age. All attempts by non-SCP-8907-A individuals to interact with SCP-8907-B instances through standard multiversal means have failed, with only use of narrative-based anomalies achieving any degree of success. Currently, the only documented individuals capable of interacting with other individuals' SCP-8907-B instances through non-narrative means are other instances of SCP-8907-A, specifically those who have an existing friendship with the realities associated SCP-8907-A. SCP-8907-A individuals often go on to create art involving their SCP-8907-B, most commonly in the form of written media and film. Due to the massive quantity and popularity of media created as a result of SCP-8907, the world above the veil has developed a term for SCP-8907-B, albeit in a non-anomalous form, that term being paracosms. Upon the death of an SCP-8907-A individual, their associated SCP-8907-B instance will undergo a progress of stagnation, where time within the instance stops at the furthest point in its history which its SCP-8907-A had created. All attempts to extend an SCP-8907-B instance's timeline beyond the stagnation point have failed. Addendum: Abridged SCP-8907 Instance Log Designation SCP-8907-A01 Name: Dr. Penelope Leslie. Detail: First documented SCP-8907-A instance, and the first head of the SCP-8907 research project. Born in 1940. Joined the Foundation in 1964 after graduating from ICSID Swansea with a master's degree in pataphysics. Died in 2009 following infection by SCP-510 during a containment breach at Site-17. Produced several novels set in SCP-8907-B01 instance throughout her time with the Foundation. Distributed to the public via Front Company No. 017C, Sloan Collins Publications. SCP-8907-B instance, unnamed instance, closely resembles Earth, with much of its universal narrative being focused around Wales and the Western United Kingdom in the early 1950s. Largely centered on a group known as the Bargheists, who hunt demons unleashed into the countryside by Axis occultists during the Blitz, and the impact that said demons had on the communities in that region. History: Leslie first developed SCP-8907-B01 instance at 4 years of age, following the end of the Seventh Occult War in Europe. Leslie would, throughout her teens and early 20s, suffer from severe night terrors, believed to have stemmed from her home in Liverpool being bombed during the Blitz. Leslie hypothesized that the timing of SCP-8907-B001 having manifested shortly after the end of the war was likely to explain its connections with elements of it. This led to the first hypothesis surrounding the exact nature of SCP-8907-B manifestation, that being that it was in some way connected to a child with some underlying anomalous ability attempting to process a traumatic event. This theory would go on to be disproven after almost a decade in use. Designation: SCP-8907-A022. Name: Maria Gomez. Detail: Nicaraguan painter, born in 1942. Known for her Tierra Cielo series of illustrations depicting SCP-8907-B022. SCP-8907-B instance: a world entirely made up of floating islands in an infinite sky, home to a civilization modeled after the Mayan Empire. Interfacing with the instance through standard SCP-8907-B interaction means has shown that the entire world of SCP-8907-B022 exists in a painted style. With this being accepted as the natural appearance of the world history, SCP-8907-B022 began doubts among several members of the SCP-8907 research team, particularly one Dr. Jean Castillo, who raised the argument to Dr. Leslie that Gomez had not experienced the Mayan Empire in any form, beyond that of a history book in ruins, nor had she ever lived on a floating island. Leslie countered with the notion that SCP-8907-B022 could simply be an anomaly among SCP-8907-B instances, which failed to convince Castillo and the majority of his fellow researchers. In spite of this, the team would continue to follow Leslie's theory for the next 3 years. Designation: SCP-8907-A069. Name: Lewis Harris. Detail: British science fiction author, born in 1950. Known throughout the United Kingdom for his Reducing Infinity universe, the first SCP-8907-B instance known to have been influenced by other SCP-8907-A individuals. SCP-8907-B instance: the unified Milky Way state, the setting of Harris's Reducing Infinity series. A galaxy-spanning human-dominated superstate from the year 3143, locked in a guerrilla war with several alien separatist movements. Backed by other civilizations in the Andromeda Galaxy history, Harris would develop SCP-8907-B069 in his early childhood, at which point it was noticeably less hostile. However, by the time Harris reached the age of 10, SCP-8907-B069 had reached a form similar to its pre-stagnation iteration. No parts of Harris's life up to this point would indicate that SCP-8907-B069 instance would become in its current 3143 form. This, combined with evidence from SCP-8907-B022, would lead Dr. Castillo to form his own hypothesis in regards to SCP-8907 occurrence, stating that there is no particular reason that SCP-8907-B instances would form in any particular way beyond existing fantasies being given a physical form in the macrocosm. This would go on to become the prevailing theory surrounding SCP-8907 in the years since its inception. Designation: SCP-8907-150. Name: Sir Terence David John Pratchett. Detail: among the most widely known instances of SCP-8907-A. Born in 1948, SCP-8907 occurrence date is currently unknown. Wrote over 100 books during his career, prior to his death in March of 2015, almost half of which were directly related to SCP-8907-B150. SCP-8907-B instance, known as Disc World. A completely world, held aloft on the back of 4 elephants standing on the back of a turtle swimming through space. Disc World is potentially one of the most detailed SCP-8907-B instances known to the Foundation, dwarfing all other known SCP-8907-B instances in its quantity of minute details. History: Pratchett would go on to completely disprove the antiquated Leslie hypothesis. On account of just how disconnected from our reality much of his depictions of Discworld were from anything Pratchett could have possibly experienced, and proved the Castillo theory to be correct. Additionally, SCP-8907-B150 is, to date, the only SCP-8907-B instance to not undergo the standard stagnation process following It's associated SCP-8907-A's death instead. Mappings of the local macrocosm following Pratchett's death displayed that the connection between our reality and SCP-8907-B-150 was shown to have branched off into a vast number of smaller strands. Currently, the reason for this is unknown, and research into this phenomenon is ongoing. Designation: SCP-8907-A201. Name: Momoko Nakamoto. Detail: Nakamoto is a musical and artist and known resident of Koigarazaki, born in 1990, mostly known for her concept albums set in SCP-8907-B201. In accordance with an agreement made with the Japanese branch of the Foundation, Nakamoto does not distribute her music in above-veil communities, due to her use of minor memetics in her work to provide more vibrant mental pictures of the world. SCP-8907-B instance, referred to by Nakamoto as Kusikia, largely resembles Earth geographically, with the notable absence of the territories held by France and the People's Republic of China. The world's history also largely mirrors our own, until 1975, when both NATO and the Warsaw Pact, assisted by China, developed antimatter weaponry, leading to a conflict which results in the destruction of both the PRC and France. In the modern day, a collection of 4 superstates control the world. The exact politics of Kusikia are vague, given the album's focus on more interpersonal stories set in Kenda, the superstate encompassing much of East Asia history. Nakamoto first developed SCP-8907-B201 in 2006, citing My Chemical Romance as the most likely source of inspiration. Instance would remain in an inconsistent state of existence for the next 4 years, until the release of Danger Days by the band, leading to Nakamoto solidifying her SCP-8907-B's world and style, before releasing her first album 9 months later. I still feel dirty doing this through AI. There are some scenes that require payment. I could just screen record it, but strangely doing this in AI just makes me feel lazy.